questions and you don't want to just interrupt, feel free to use the chat button and, let everybody get situated. We ask if everybody will themselves until you have a question. This will not be your typical lecture because I want to get, if you have a question, any question, no question is a bad question to, let me know. And I see Professor Richardson in there.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear
Okay.
you.
Right.
You got controls. So, if you got to do something, do it. If you got to shut me up, shut me up. And we'll go from there. So I thank the Grambling class and anybody else who might sneak on here or, peek on here to see what we're going to talk about with multimedia. I really wanted to do this live. So if folks did have questions and particular questions on how do I get started, because I've heard you and I love the feedback that you have given me, the good, I didn't get any bad, but I want to make sure it's clear and that you're getting your money's worth for this courses that you're taking. As you guys might know, I went to Grambling, I don't think too long ago. My wife went to Grambling and all 6 of her siblings went to Grambling. And I tell you, Grambling is the Harvard of the South. I say that, but it's what you make out of it. I went to another school prior to Grambling, and school is school. I don't care if you went to Harvard, Yale, Grambling, but I really wanted to tap in and let you guys know how everything kind of comes together. Even the worst class that you take, how it can kind of fit in, because you want to be a well-rounded individual in this multimedia thing. I am home at my office. This is where I spend pretty much my whole day if I'm not running around the block, especially during these COVID times. So Professor Richardson, I kicked it off like that. Let me know if we had any questions or anything you wanted to tap into.
I'm not seeing any questions over here. Class, if y'all have any questions, you could type them. You could talk or you could type them in the chat window. Basically, I mean, like you say, I want to make sure they know really how everything links together. So, like I say, if you're doing video, it links up with graphics, it links up with websites, it links up with public relations. It all goes into promoting the project. It goes into marketing kind of, but really how everything's together, and it's really important to learn everything.
Okay, and I would prefer the questions be, if they want to talk them out, so we can just have that dialogue. But if somebody might be shy and they say, "Oh, I just want to text it," that's cool too. To each his own. And so, how it all ties together, just to start with that, you need to be able to do everything because you can't rely on anybody except you. No matter if you are at a job or if you are, I'm going to mute somebody, and feel free, you guys, to, mute yourselves until you have a question. If you have a job, there may be a time that you might be the talent, but they might need some help in the newsroom to do some type of editing, whether it be audio or video. And the last thing you want to do is tell your bosses, "Oh, I know I said I could do all of that on my resume, but I can't do that." The proper way, if you can't do something, is to say, "You know what? I haven't been trained on that particular software." But you don't want to say, "I have no clue." So you want to be able to do everything, because it is not easy to get a job, period, right now. 45 million people lost their jobs during this COVID, as you've heard. And when the jobs come back in a major way, folks are going to be competing. The beautiful thing that you guys have on your side is by the time you are looking for that typical job, you will hopefully be that young person that they want to hire. A lot of times that's because they don't want to pay you what they would pay somebody who has 30 years of experience. Let me break that down. I interviewed a guy, he's my neighbor, just diagonal. across the street for Diversified Game yesterday. 30 years in the game. He is just now, he's 52 years old. He is just now getting a syndicated show the way that he always dreamed about it when he was 15. And he told me to get that syndicated show, he had to walk away from a 3-year deal for about $1 million. So that's about $303,000 a year he had to turn away. And then when he came back, he got a lot of Tom Joyner's markets. So I say all that to say, you got to put your time in. You know, he put 30 years, and not that he was broke, and he also works for ESPN and he works for Howard's radio station, but you just don't know where this game is going to go, and you have to put food on the table. Everything is sweet when you're in Grambling. Even when you don't have and you survive off that $20 a month, you're like, dang, how did I do that? When the real world comes, it's not as good. I'll just put it like that. So you want to be able to do everything, even if it's just a little bit. I'm not a master of everything. I have a team of people. One of those crucial team members throughout my time doing this, almost 2 decades, has been your Professor Richardson, because, I mean, that guy comes up with not just ideas, but he's very technical and he can do a lot of things. And I could even dream something up and say, Rich, can this be done? And he'll be like, yeah. And he'll say how. So, you know, you look at someone like, oh, he's a professor, but you don't understand that decades he has put in to be able to do what he does with various people. And I could brag all day on Professor Richardson, but he wouldn't appreciate it. So I'm gonna kind of tame my tongue. So he'll pick up my phone call after this. But, you know, being able to win in mass communication, I think you got to start now. That's the difference between what I'm going to call him Rich. That's the difference between what we did and what makes us different from our friends who are now working and not even using their skills and not even pursuing their dream. This is a dream, and for a dream, you got to have a goal. So I want to kind of pause there, and I want to hear from y'all, you know, if there are any, you know, pointers, tips. You know, who do I need to meet? I still get those pointers and tips. Again, the gentleman yesterday, my elder, and he doesn't look, you know, young at all. I mean, he doesn't look old at all. From the Rick and Sasha show, Rick Party, he put me on game on how he got the biggest contract in his life and who he had to go talk to get that. So let me pause and let's see if there's any questions, whether they're audio or in writing. I don't see any in writing. Does anybody want to come on and, you know, say their piece and who they are? Y'all are mass comm majors, so you can't be shy. They're going to play shy, Rich? All right.
I don't know. Ask questions. You could say them. You might are they muted? They might be muted.
Well, they can unmute themselves. And if anyone has an issue with that, you know, type it in the questions. But yeah, you can unmute yourself, you know, without worries. But I will go on to, you know, talk about some of the things. Let's say some of you want to be on-air talent, and on-air talent is, you know, just anybody in front of the camera. I would have a YouTube, I would have a TikTok, I would have everything that makes sense for you and start to get your audience now and learn how a production works. The beautiful thing is, and folks like Dame Dash have shown us, we don't have to wait for anybody right now. We don't have to wait for anybody's studio time. We don't have to wait for anybody to give us a budget. We all have these fancy phones right here. Most of them, you know, are $1,000 and up, and they have real good cameras that people are shooting movies from. So if I know I have everything that I need and I'm paying this money to go to school for them to train me, I got to use that training. The biggest mistake is to use it after you leave Grambling, because it's going to be hard and more expensive for somebody to teach you after you get that degree. once you get that degree, someone's going to assume that you used your time wisely and that you got the internships, even if it's just for a paper to say, hey, I interned with these people. This is what they trained me to do, and I can do it for you better than anybody else. All this stuff in business and in trying to get a job, all it is like dating. You're trying to put yourself out there with the best, this is my representative. This is who I am. I'm better than that next person, and this is why. And so if you look at it like that, and I'm especially speak to the fellas, your dating game is on point right now in Grambling. You got to date every other day, if not every day, and it doesn't matter what time it started, whether some of y'all are 11 p.m. night daters and some of y'all want to get it in at noon so you can go take walks and, have lunch. But this is dating in business and jobs. And I'm going to really focus on business because I'm an entrepreneur. And so that's just the language that I talk. I've had many jobs, and because I'm creative, I've been told, my services really aren't welcome. If my services aren't welcome to be creative, I don't want to be there. So don't want to say I'm anti-job, but jobs aren't for me. I don't make the best employee, but I make a great business partner, a great person to do PR and consulting. And now I manage people's money and their trips and what their business does and whether their 7-year-old is going to be on their business once we register it in Kenya. And I can't tell you how I got there except that I just did the work. And I said, hey, I'm a publicist. Hey, I'm a writer. And I do one job, and then people say, you know what, you have other skills. And they say, hey, will you help me manage my business deals? And I want to make it very clear, and I don't want it to sound braggadocious, but you guys are in a time where you can make so much money right now. I have people who aren't doing the training that you're doing. They taught themselves how to do the social media, the YouTubes, the whatever platform you can think of, and I use them all. And now they're in a position to get $10, $20, $30,000 a month. Some folks on top of that can get $2,500 every day offered to them by brands just because they did what they needed to do on social media. And it's not even like a thirst trap, because I can think of influencers, especially women who do beauty brands, who don't show themselves to be, naked at all. But because they do entertainment news or celebrity gossip and they have the audience, the brands reach out to them. And the smartest thing that these influencers do is come get somebody like myself to help them, because they don't know if they're getting a fair deal. Why? Because they're only dealing with their business. If they were dealing with, the hundreds of businesses that we've dealt with in, the present and the past, then they would know, oh no, $500 isn't enough. $1,000 isn't enough. That's why it's also important for you when you're taking these classes to focus on your finances, your economics, see if you're a good money manager. And, everybody, unfortunately, is not going to take your advice, my advice. They're not going to listen. They're going to do just enough to get by. But, one of the most embarrassing things to do after leaving school is to be forced to, after you have your independence, is to go for a significant amount of time to go back on your mother's couch, to go back on your father's couch, to have to, be in a cramped place, because entertainment is hard. Media is a hard business, but you can start now and you can get paid now. Even if you're a writer, you can get paid now from your vlogs, your blogs. You can go on medium.com. There's so many things. And I teach this. That's why I do a diversified game show on YouTube and on podcast. And I have my Kellen KASH YouTube. And all of that brings me money. And I don't even have a huge audience. But I found a way to monetize it. And I know folks who have huge audiences in podcasting. You wouldn't know them if they were standing next to you. And they charge their guests $3,500 per guest. I remember when this person used to do it for free. And for me, they still do, thank God. But you can make this money now. Hold on, we got a question from Nick. If you want to do this independent, Nick, what do you want to do? Be more, give us more detail, because the independent game is the long game, but I'm from Oakland, California, and that's all that I know. That's all that we saw, the Too Shorts, the Loonies, you know, the E40s when we would, you know, go out and about and hit Vallejo. All we saw were people doing hand-to-hand transactions, hustling their music, going city to city. So it's the long game, but it's the right game for me. If not, you're giving power to somebody else to tell you how fast you can grow. So let's see. We got another one. And Nick, please put your question in there from Royce. I want to be a video editor. I also have thought about public relations because of how much they can make. Is video editing in demand for me to live off the job, or something like a side hustle? Nah, video editors are needed. What you got to do the video editing is get your packages together. Professor Richardson and I were talking about, you know, packages last night. You got to get your packages together, because it always seems like you're going to come in at the low offer, but the hook is getting them in, and then you're able to upsell them. So, you know, Professor Richardson has this drone. He can say, hey, I'll do a video shoot for this amount of money. But if you want me to bring in the $1,000+ drone, now that's going to be an upsell. You know, with that drone, I can do 3 fancy clips for you like this. And I can add on to the full thing, but it's going to be an upsell. So you're upselling them every bit. Maybe your upsell is $100. Maybe it's a $500 upsell. Maybe it's a $5,000 upsell, but you just got to find your market. I have a lady right now who had hit me. She's looking for a video editor, and she doesn't have the amount of money. So I told her, you know, we have some folks overseas who will do it within your budget if you'll trust them with your footage. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a side hustle. You also want to do time lapse if you're in the video, because one of, you know, my video editors for the African Diaspora News Channel, Brother Sharif, when we travel, he's always captioned time lapses, and he tells me the money in that is somebody's full-time check every month, but you're gonna have to start. So keep this in mind and look for the memes in this. How much will it take you to make $10,000 doing what you wanna do? Is it gonna take 5 clients, or is it gonna take, you know, 20 clients? And with that, you piece it down and you break it up like anything else. You might get a whole, you know, lump sum, but you got to chop that thing up nickel and dime it, and put the quarters together so you can really throw it out to the public so they can really get it. A lot of folks, we watch music, we hear the movie, you got to start applying that stuff to your life. And so we got another question from Fat Man Nick. I enjoy music, but I like to edit audio. Let's see. Somebody else's question just came in too. I like to record rappers, and influenced by the Bay and the Noya. Rappers would preach the independent way. Is the independent way the best way? I personally, if you don't have a deal right now with the label, I would say independent is the only way, because what labels are looking for are for people who've already got some type of package together, and then they want to get that package. It's kind of, again, I'm going to bring the dating reference. So if you are a young man and you are looking for a spouse, do you want that person who already has a car, who already has, you know, some type of job, or do you want somebody who you're going to have to pick up every time? Or you somebody that you're going to have to go get their lashes, you're going to have to get their nails done every time? So it's just a game. So the independent way, that's the way they're thinking. So they're trying to look for you already established. So be independent until you get an offer you can't refuse. And I can't tell you what that offer is, because it depends what the contract says. Because these contracts, I mean, 360 deals are out. But what you can do with anything, music or movies or whatever, is use their audience to get a bigger audience. And let's say it's a 3-year deal or a 3-album deal. Then you say, okay, let me do this for, 3 years, be done with them. And now I've got more of my own team together. We got another question. And if I don't answer it fully, feel free to ask as many questions as you want. Okay, Carrington Williams, besides using social media platforms, what are some ways that can strengthen and broaden my skill set to prepare myself for a future in mass comm? I love that question. And what I would say to do is, in Trinity, okay, yeah, thank you for muting that, brother. What I'm going to do outside of mass comm, get your writing skills together, get your business skills, read a book a week and see how your life changes. With this thing again, with Audible, we can listen to a book that can put us on game. The first book I would tell you, everybody says read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's a great book, read that. But the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss will actually teach you how to tell your employer, I want to work from home. Especially before all of this COVID stuff, you can show, and he tells you how you tell your employer, I want to work from home, how you can put in 4 hours of work a week. And still, he says it in the book. I'm not the richest person, but I make $80,000 a month, and that's enough for me. Right now, my current book is this book, which has already given me $1.5 million worth of game, because I am not reading this book. I am studying this book. You can't really see the detail. I'm studying this book because to me, Africa is the now. Africa is the future. And I have some small investments in Africa, and they're only building up. And what your skills that you're doing now, a lot of that in Africa, we would be teaching that to the corporations, not because they're behind, they don't have internet, they have all of that. The issue is we have internet everywhere we go. In Starbucks, we have internet. We're on the toilet. Forgive me for being graphic. We have internet. Some of y'all are texting. That's why I don't ask to borrow anybody's phone. I don't know what you were doing with it. We have internet everywhere. So this book has put me on game. So when I go to Africa, I'm able to say, I want to start this business, find my partners, find investments that you can do right now. I have a website called the Mall of Africa.Africa, and that has over seven. Oh, somebody came in, and mute yourself when you come in, please. You can definitely get the game. So I would say look for the cracks in the game and study economics, study business, because this is the truth of the matter for all the folks interested in PR. We can teach somebody PR who's a doctor, who's a nurse, who's an accountant. It's much more difficult to teach somebody economics and how a ledger works, and Google that ledger, how that works in business. The number one thing I would tell every entrepreneur is get your familiarity with the SBA, another organization that's right next door to the SBA, or sometimes they share the same office space pretty much in every city, every region in this country, is called SCORE. The other organization that's usually in the same building is called PTAC. The government has a lot of money for us, but they don't teach this in school. And that's why I would love if you guys would email your deans and your the president and say, you know what, we want to have a different type of class in mass comm. Tell them Professor Kellen Coleman wants to teach it, and it would give a different perspective on the business of mass comm. because your professors right now, some of them do business, but their business, from what I know, isn't always in mass comm. You know, you guys have professors who have whole hotel chains over there. And, you know, and I would say respect all the professors, because you're going to learn something from them, even if you don't agree with every one of them. But the one that has the hotel chains and businesses in the mall, she might seem difficult, but she'll give you jewels all day and help you become a better person, even though it's not going to be easy for some of y'all to pass her class. But you know, I didn't have those issues because I was dedicated to what I'm paying for. And we can butt heads. So get your economics, read a book. All you got to do is read a book. That's what class is teaching you, is how to read a book and then apply the knowledge. And you just got to keep applying it and applying it. We got some more questions. Let's see. Okay, I want to make sure I don't skip anybody's questions. So I'm going to scroll up and just do it first come, first serve. Okay. Oh, Trinity, you're all good. Darius, I have my own business as an event planner. I like my work to look professional. In terms of advertising, what advice can you give that would be significant for us to end up being an entrepreneur without having to spend a lot of time or a lot of money? Is it? Okay. I want my work advertisement. I always get tired of paying people to do certain things. Okay. Darius, don't get tired of paying people. That's what a business is. That's one of the main differences between an entrepreneur and someone who works for an entrepreneur. I love being able to pay people. I want to pay people even more. I want to have more fun so I can pay more, because now I'm going to get a different quality of work. Get into the habit of giving. The more you give, the more you live, and you got to get used to that. The reason why you might not want to pay people because you're like, I don't have enough. That means there's an issue with your system of what you're getting paid. And it's okay because you're in college right now. So your income is only going to go up, and you're doing a great job starting now. Now you got to find the add-ons during your event planning. Do you offer drones? Like I had aforementioned, ask Professor Richardson, hey, I have an outside event. I need a drone. Do you offer, clowns to come out there, magicians, singers to come serenade somebody? If it's a wedding, what could you do differently that the other folks in your area aren't doing? But get used to paying people. Automation is coming, and automation is going to kill a lot of jobs, especially in PR, because I could replace a whole PR department right now with automation. But I want to bring in my team of people. But the software is doing stuff that you don't even know about it unless you read books like The Future is Faster Than You Think. Google that, get it on Audible. If you ever get a chance to go to the conference it would just be amazing. The conference is expensive. It's like $15,000, but you want to be able to pay people because you one day don't want to come in to work. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you want to go on vacation, and you're going to have to learn how to have people work like you do. You are the entrepreneur. You're the wizard. So, lace people up with game so they can do your job while you're still getting a check, and then say, hey, look, I want to make, $10,000 a month, and I want to do it wherever I want in the world. That's the point. So yeah, man, I would just say use systems, use websites like Fiverr, use software so you can, save on some of that money, but you want to be able to pay people, but you got to find how much. Are you paying them 25% of what you're making? Are you paying them 75%? If you're paying them 75%, you got to think of something different. And that's a business issue. And again, you got to read some books, a great business book, anything by Seth Godin. He's written over 200 books and he's still alive. So check that out. For y'all who want to be consultants, I would recommend anything by Alan Weiss. I have had Alan Weiss on Diversified Game, if you just want to put that in your YouTube search. And it's probably, this is what he said, one of his best interviews to date. And he's done over 60 books. So let's see if there's some other questions. Hello, my name is Tyler. And I'm going to just kind of quickly read these guys. So if I go over something and you want to say, what did he say? All these comments are in in the contact. Tyler, I'm interested in video editing, record, but I'm still indecisive on my career. Where should I start for an intern? I think, start right now. Start videotaping and editing what you would like to see on TV, on YouTube. What makes you unique, Tyler? That's the real thing. What makes you unique? As far as internships, we are blessed to have a TV station right there in Grambling. And I understand, because this is just how things go. You're not going to be able to do everything you want to do at the TV station, or you might be studying from home right now. But you going to your local news station and saying, I want to intern, and ask them, do they have paid internships? Because a lot of times they do. Going to your local broadcasting school and say, you know what, I'm already in school, but I want to know what type of internships, if I did decide to go here during the summer or whatnot, because usually you can do broadcasting school in a month or 3. You say, what type of internships do you guys have? It's all about connecting. I got my first internship after I finished my master's from Grambling because I was already working. But what I found out is I'm writing for a dozen or more magazines. Professor Richardson and I have Too Hot Radio, Too Hot TV, Too Hot Magazine. I'm traveling the world, and everybody kind of outside of our circle saw me as only being able to do entertainment. And I didn't want to just do entertainment, because entertainment to me is kind of the start. And there's a stepping stone. I wanted to do government. I wanted to do big business. I wanted to be able to say we could talk with presidents, and I could do it my way. Like, this is me. This is how I am. I don't have to put on airs for anybody. That's how good I am. You know how good you have to be to have your locks, come in with your shades, whatever color they are, and talk business and say, I don't have to look like y'all. I can come in with my soccer jersey if I want, And people say, well, only like people like Mark Cuban and, Steve Jobs and whoever else is a little kind of, different. But it's all about the knowledge and how you carry yourself. So, Tyler, I would say start doing that now. If you guys say, okay, Tyler, my bad. If right now, reach out to someone and say, what can I do? Can I do your editing? And have your money, what you need to do it. I always am looking for editors. So I'll put my information in for all of you guys who want to follow up. It has to be a good fit. You have to show yourself, you're a hard worker. Professor Richardson always will recommend people as well. If you reach out to your professors and say, hey, I want to do this. Do you know I can get an internship? And, if you say, I'll do it for free just to show what I can do, you are putting yourself in a position for someone not to say no, because people kind of need to see your work when you're brand new, and if you don't have your sizzle, they call it, or your trailer or your reel, it's kind of hard for someone to say, I want to pay you, when there's a whole list of people on websites like Fiverr.com, and people can hire somebody for India or, Nigeria for $5 or $10 to do the same work. We'd rather hire here in the US, but sometimes there's issues with that. So yeah, that's that. I hope that that answers that question. And I'm gonna just put up all my information here, because I want you guys to reach out, and you guys might have $1 million idea that I haven't even thought of. And that's that. So Rich, how am I doing on time and information? Have I not tapped into something? Let me let you talk.
We're good right here. Any more questions? Type them in, or I guess you could speak them if you know what you want to say. We answered all the questions. I think, anybody that has anything else to say can follow up with you. And your information is on the chat, I see. So, just follow up with, Kellen. And if you have any questions, if you have any, like you said, if you have a reel or anything you want to show him in terms of editing or anything you might bring to the table. But I mean, I don't have anything else. I think we touched on.
Well, and I know, you know, one person has a business already. I would also say this: register your business now. Register your business in your home state that you know you have ties to, and you can do it usually online. In some states, it's $15. In the more expensive states like Massachusetts, it's $500, especially for an LLC. I would recommend the LLC just for the, even though you might not have assets to protect at this moment, you don't know. It could be tomorrow where you do. And to get yourself established. The other part of that is, let's say you just use your business right now as an internship. Like you treat it like, you know what? I just want to try this out. So by the time you finish Grambling and you go to whatever state that you need to go to, and let's say you want to get into government work, the government's going to ask you how long you've been in business. And this is one thing that we did not do coming up. So I want to really share this is we didn't register our business. We just said we were business. We just put the letterhead and we did all that and we had the websites and we ran it like a business. But, you know, we didn't always want to have to, you know, pay the tax, I guess, right? We weren't tax evading, but it was just we didn't know. Now, Rich did. You know, Rich did. Rich had his stuff together. And Rich was probably one of the first people I saw. I'm like, oh, okay, he's registered. But I'm rolling around, you know, talking about, yeah, I'm doing business, but I haven't registered it appropriately. And know this, and why I say pick your state wisely. I just moved my business from Seattle, Washington to right here in South Florida. And that thing cost me, you know, over $1,000 just to change the name. I had to go find a lawyer here. They call it a domestication. And I had to then go pay my CPA who had to go, you know, talk to his lawyers and to make sure everything was legit. So I've lived in about 5 or 6 different states. And, you know, I'm just now moving my businesses the right way. I could have also cut my business and said, let me start anew under the same name. But then I lose my EIN number. I lose my DUNS number. I lose my resume for what that business does. And because I do government work, I lose that in theory where I'm not as strong. So it's worth the amount of money to you know, to push. So register your business, huh?
One thing, that you kind of mentioned. Well, I think a lot of people when they start business, like, well, this is my advice. So, okay, if you go to work for like Walmart or McDonald's or something, you're making like $10 an hour. You should probably just like if you do graphics or videos or editing or just anything, you should probably just start like $10 an hour. Or like, let's say you work 8 hours or whatever, and you make, let's say, $80 or something. You should just charge like $80 or whatever. You see what I'm saying? So I think you shouldn't start too high with your pricing initially, just so you can build your customer base and you can prove it's like pay your own paid internship. It's like you could prove that you can do it and you also get paid more than you would normally get paid. And you actually get to do what you want to do while you're getting paid.
No, that's real. That's real. Because what sense does it make to say, okay, my fee is, you know, $5,000 a month, and you're not making $5,000 a month. So you're stopping somebody from saying yes. And you know, there's so many books that can help you with negotiation. A lot of you know, the 48 Laws of Power and books like that. And you know, I could name so many books, and every book, it can be a great book, but you have to really, you know, make it meet the market, basically, like Professor Richardson was saying. Hey, Rich, could you hear my sound effect when you were talking?
No, I could hear it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if anyone else could catch that. Peep this. Could you hear that?
What's that?
That's from Sway in the Morning. That the owl when they start stunning.
Oh,
I just had to do that real quick. You know, so again, you guys, if you like this, and I put Dr. Hester's information, you can email, call, because the one thing that I wish Grambling State would have done when I was there, and we had good professors, some are still there, is talk more about the business side. And only Mr. Pitts could talk about that, you know, as far as communication, because he did voiceover work. And so, you know, we would love to do it and give everybody their money's worth, because there's so much in it. Like, I can tell you something, but you sometimes need somebody to hold your hand and say, okay, did you contact Toastmasters International? All of y'all should be part of a Toastmasters International group if you're in mass comm. And that they're going to help you in how to do public speaking better. I don't care who you are. Les Brown, Tony Robbins have all gone through Toastmasters, and they're the kings of this, right? Once you do Toastmasters, you do something a little more elite, because it's all about the money, called the NSA, the National Speakers Association. And that's all about the money. And some of y'all might be ready for that now, but you have to pay, you know, a small fee, and then you improve your public speaking. We're Black. We know how to talk. We got whole industries about us talking, rapping, singing. You know, we're smooth, whatnot. Even when we're off beat, like, you know, Blueface, we still got hit records. You know, and we create styles. And okay, I might not have rhythm, but I'm gonna make my own dance, like Chance the Rapper and Kanye have shown, right? So you can do it, but you got to get tapped in your local, even chamber of commerce. You know, go to the meetings. You don't necessarily have to join to start, but go to the meetings and be productive. The number one killer of you doing your dream versus somebody else being able to do the dream is how much effort you put into it. So if you put more effort into getting a Black and Mild and Hennessy every week, then you put in the effort of you being able to afford to pay for your, you know, mother's house or her funeral. You know what I mean? Like, I've had to go through real stuff. So when you have to pay for someone's funeral, you don't want to have to do no chicken dinner. That's embarrassing. You know, you don't want to have to do a fish fry. That's your people. You should be able to say, you know what? We don't even need to pitch in. I got it. It's good. If nobody else wants to pay for my mother to be buried, that's okay. I got it. I wasn't asking for your help, because you got to think of real life. And Instagram isn't real life. YouTube can be real life, but it's still not real life. Real life is with your people and you taking care of you and yours. So if there are no other questions, and I think we got to them, I can't wait to connect with y'all. I can't wait to hear your feedback. I can't wait to hear, you know, the emails that you have sent. If you think the Mass Comm program can be enriched by some of the information that I have, I'll talk to you guys about anything except, you know, how much money personally I have. I'll tell you about some deals if you want to know, but I don't talk about, you know, my personal income, because I'm from Okanda and we always are broke. I ain't got no money. I need some from you. So, you know, but I'll talk about any tips. The people that I saw at Grambling win, they were starting now. The people that I look at and I'm like, oh, wow, they're still working for the big companies, like Nick Love over, you know, he started while he was in Grambling. And there's so many others who are in this field, you know, really getting down and doing great work. So yeah, Rich, if no other questions, you know, we'll call it a wrap.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Leave your feedback on Canvas, and like I said, send an email to Kellen if you if you have any comments, questions, and if you like talking about like the business side of things and such, let Dr. Hester know, and so we can give you more content. We can, so I mean, thank you. Like I said, thank you everybody, and we can go ahead and wrap if.
Okay. And again, we can do this as often as it is wanted. We don't ever want to seem like, hey, we're forcing y'all to do a live, but I really wanted to be able to answer those direct questions, and I hope I did, and appreciate you too, brother. I see, the comment. Appreciate you, Royce. I appreciate all of y'all for attending, and I hope that again, with unity, we all win. So let's win, and we are strong together. So be blessed, y'all.